Bienvenue à tous.
Welcome everyone.
Aujourd'hui,
So today
dimanche,
is Sunday,
le jour des Seigneurs.
the day of the Lord,
Donc c'est tous les jours dimanche. Et
and
nous allons lire un verset de la Bhagavad Gita.
we will read a verse from Bhagavad Gita
Dans le 11e chapitre,
in the 11th
verset
chapter,
8,
verse 8.
intitulé Vishvarup Darshan
It is called Vishvarup Darshan Yoga.
Datumam sakashirastum vanenevam swam shakshusham divyam dadamim te shakshum pasham meyogam eshvaram. Traduction.
Translation.
Cependant, tu ne
However,
saurais me voir
you will
avec
not
les
be
yeux
able
que
to
tu
see
possèdes
me
actuellement.
with the eyes that you possess now.
Je te confère donc des yeux
I will
divins
give you
avec
divine
lesquels tu
eyes
pourras contempler
by
mon
which you can
opulence.
contemplate my mystic opulence. Commentary.
Nul ne peut voir la forme
Nobody can see the universal form through material vision.
afin d'enseigner que cette
In
forme
order
n'est pas
to
matérielle.
teach that this form is not material, Krishna gave Arjuna
Pour pouvoir la contempler.
divine eyes so he could contemplate it. Different visions are given of Bhagavad Gita according to different acharyas. Why? It is because in the same way, if we put an elephant on the middle of a room and we put 10 people and we close their eyes and they touch the elephant in different places, different definitions of the elephant will be given. Some will say it is very rigid, some will say it's like a big leaf, some will say different things. In the same way, the Lord has innumerable aspects because He is unlimited. The same scene can be experienced differently, felt differently by different devotees according to their qualification and their transcendental feelings. Some say that the universal form of the Lord is temporary, and it is true because it is manifested and also unmanifested, depending on how if the universe is maintained, destroyed, or created. But since the Lord revealed Himself through this universal form, He is also present. Since we know that the Supreme Soul, the Super Soul, is present in everyone's heart and is also part of that universal form. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the entire planets, they represent the external form, the gross form. All the different souls, they represent the subtle form of the universal form. And the super soul represents the soul of the universal form. So different visions are given. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Arjuna, he is a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada explains this. He explains that Arjuna can never be under the influence of the material energy, and that this pastime happened by the influence of the spiritual energy of the Lord. So, Arjuna, he, with his transcendental eyes, he could see the universal form of the Lord. What Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains is that when the Lord addressed himself in this verse to Arjuna, it was to give him inferior eyes, demigod's eyes, because with his transcendental eyes he could not see this universal form of the Lord, which is not not so important for the devotees of the Lord, because that form is temporary and it manifests only the opulence of the Lord. So, in this pastime, the Lord gave Arjuna an inferior vision so that he could see this form. So we can think, we can say, why did Krishna insisted so much so that he could see this form? There are many explanations. One of them is that Arjuna, as a human in mode of virtue, we didn't want that to implicate himself in this battle. There's always a battle when we go towards the Supreme Lord. It is that people, the more the Lord will be in our heart, because in this world, people reject the Supreme Lord, and the people, they want to be them, they want to be God. So when we go towards Krishna, people, they detach themselves from us. Gradually, everyone will have this experience. The more the Lord will come in our life, the more people will take distance. And the more the devotees of the Lord will be attracted to the Lord. It is a principle. We cannot do anything about that. It's a scientific principle. And Arjuna did not want to do anything wrong. It was a battle where his own family wanted to fight with each other. So Krishna told him, "You will not kill anybody. It is me, I." He showed him this universal form, where we see this description where all the warriors, they go in the mouth, the different mouths of the Lord, of this form. It is explained that when Arjuna received this divine vision, his limbs were trembling because this form was so terrible. It represents death, justice, judgment, a terrible form. Fire was coming out of the mouth, wind. And what did Arjuna say to Krishna? He said, "Oh Lord, I saw this form. I saw. Now can you take your beautiful form again? The one I like, I love to see. The one that gives me pleasure to the heart. That form, yes. I understood you as your God, the supreme person. But I prefer when you are in your sweet form. Because with the sweet form, I can reciprocate with you in such a wonderful way." Because before Arjuna, he asked Krishna for forgiveness when he saw this form. Because sometimes Arjuna, he would say to Krishna, "You're not even able to fight with one warrior, but myself I am invincible. I can fight against one whole army." Arjuna was even like in a protective mood with Krishna. It is explained when Krishna and Arjuna were sleeping together, they were embracing their feet. So he had a very close relationship with Krishna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, he said, "Oh, forgive me. When I did all this, because I was not conscious of your position." But the influence of the energy of the Lord is extremely mystical. Although Arjuna was stuck in it, he could see. But Vishwanath said he didn't have the mind. He always had the mind of a devotee, but he saw the universal form. So there was a total confusion. This is why he told Krishna that he saw this form. But now he wanted to see sweet form again. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur pushes this a bit more by saying, "Why? Now, it is on this form that you must meditate. That form is superior, Arjuna. Look, you should really desire to meditate now on this form and then abandon the form of sweetness." And now we are on the battlefield. This is the Supreme Lord. Contradictions, impossible to understand for people who are not devotees. Even in a situation like this, humor is present. How to understand? It is impossible. This is why the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is a commentary that is superior, full of rasa, sweet feelings, loving feelings. But Baladev Vidyabhushana, he made a commentary where simply the personality of Krishna and devotional service is put in the back. Whereas Vishwanath, he explained the Bhagavad Gita just like the 6 first chapters speaking about karma, the 6 last speak about Gyan, and the 6 in between speak about bhakti. And he makes a comparison. So we see, for example, Srila Prabhupada, he was inspired. He inspired himself from the commentary of Baladev Vidyabhushana, and he only stayed on the aspect of devotional service. Why? Because it is much more accessible for people. Before, the rasa, sweet feelings of love, before that we must purify our heart, our senses, by accepting that the Lord is a person, by accepting that we are the soul, by accepting the principle of action, time, influence of the material energy. And once we have established all these truths in our heart, this represents a base, a foundation for receiving these feelings of love. We could ask ourselves this question: how can we develop these feelings of love? It is because the Lord, in reality, He reciprocates with our desire. Feelings of love is an experience. It cannot be understood by the intelligence. We can understand by the intelligence that God is a person because we are a person. We can understand the nature of material action, that we get stuck in this world through the reactions of our actions. This we can understand. But liberation and also feelings of love we can feel towards the Lord, these are not things we can understand with the intelligence. It is something that is given by the Lord Himself, just like a reward. The more we will abandon ourselves, surrender ourselves, the more we will give our life, dedicate our life for His pleasure, and the more He will reciprocate with us. Srila Prabhupada said, it must come from us. No? If we do one step, Krishna makes 10, He makes 100. And the result is that the more the Lord reciprocates, the more we will detach ourselves from this world. Because the relationship with the Supreme Lord, with Krishna, there's nothing so as famous as that. It is impossible to go back unless there was no experience. When we don't have the experience, we have an external vision of things. Are devotees kind, for example? And you will accept a faith simply because people are kind. I saw a funny story it was a couple, a Mormon couple, and they were assigned a mission to go back to their village where the prophet was living and where they got revelation, the Book of Mormon. And naturally, people had very bad memories. I won't say why. And when they arrived there, people, they were
Mais
really,
lui, Larry, il était
really
champion du
angry
monde de
with
boxe.
them. But the husband, he was a,
Donc en
but
fait,
he was a
à chaque fois
champion,
qu'il y avait quelqu'un
boxing
qui était trop
champion.
désagréable, il
And
lui
as soon
mettait
as
une
someone
mandale,
was not so,
ça le couchait. Donc,
so
quelque part, les gens pouvaient pas faire
kind,
grand-chose
he
contre
will
lui.
hit him in the face, so people could not do anything with him.
Mais ils étaient vraiment
And
détestés.
but they were really
Détestés.
people were rejecting them because they
Et
were
donc, à un moment,
Mormons.
sa femme,
And one time, his
elle lui a
wife,
dit,
she
peut-être
told
que tu
him,
devrais organiser un championnat de
maybe
boxe.
you should
Et
organize
c'est
a
sûr
boxing
que
boxing
personne ne pourra te
championship.
vaincre, tout le
And
monde
since
va
nobody
t'aimer.
will be able to beat you,
Et donc,
they
tout
will
le monde est
respect
venu,
you.
il
So
a
everybody
débarqué
came.
le monde.
He
Donc,
beat
moi, même les
he beat
derniers, ils sont
everything,
sauvés,
everyone.
parce que c'était
And the last one,
c'était puissant.
they escaped because they
Il a
were
mis tout le
afraid
monde
of him.
KO.
And he put everyone KO,
À chaque fois.
hitting them in the
Et
face.
donc, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé?
And what
Lui était
happened?
favorable, les gens étaient encore
Instead
plus
of being
méfiants.
favorable, people
Et toi, tu
became
peux
even more
investir, ça fait
unfavorable.
changer la structure.
He said, "You're not
Et là, il s'est dit, peut-être
you're
qu'il
not
faut changer
a
la
pastor."
technique. Et là, ils se sont dit, il y a que
And then
par
he
l'amour
thought,
qu'on
maybe I
va
have to
pouvoir
change the technique. And he said,
changer le
it's
cœur.
only by
Et ils se
love
sont
that we
mis à
will be
servir
able to
les gens
change the heart of
toute la
people.
journée,
And he started to
leur
serve
offrir
people
des
every day, the whole day,
graduellement, les gens
give
ont
them
changé.
gifts, and
Et
naturally,
quand ils ont été rappelés
gradually
pour
people
enrichir de
changed.
s'en aller,
And when they
village,
were
pour
asked to
retrouver
leave the
les
village
les
and
gens
go
ont
back to their
pleuré
headquarters,
parce qu'ils les aimaient
people
tellement.
were crying because they loved them so much.
Donc ça,
So
c'est
this,
un premier niveau de foi.
a first level of faith.
Les gens vont vous
People
apprécier
will
et
appreciate you
accepter votre foi
and
parce que
accept
vous
your
êtes bon.
faith.
Mais si vous n'êtes pas bon,
But because you're good, but if you're not good,
ils resteront pas.
they will not stay.
Ils vous accepteront.
They will not accept you.
Alors que
So
quand il y a l'expérience intérieure,
when there's this inner
peu
experience,
importe
whatever,
si on est gentil avec vous,
if we're kind with
si on
you,
est méchant,
or if we are
si tous les êtres vous en veulent,
if we are angry, if people they reject you, it doesn't have any
parce que
importance
vous avez établi une relation. Il y a la
because you established a relationship. There's
vous
love.
sentez que Krishna
You
vous
feel
aime.
that Krishna loves you,
Et à partir de là,
and from there,
plus rien ne peut vous arrêter.
nothing can stop you. Nothing.
Vous pouvez simplement que
You
progresser.
can simply but progress.
Plus il y aura d'opposition,
The more there will be
plus vous allez
opposition,
progresser.
the more you will
Parce
progress,
que c'est le principe de la
because this is the principle
L'amour
of love.
spirituel, il a pas de
Spiritual
progrès.
love does not have
Vous
any
serez
cause.
étonné.
Would be
Vous
even
regardez,
surprised
comment c'est possible?
if you look at yourself and
J'ai
say, how is
vécu
that
des
possible?
coups, tout m'a été enlevé,
Everything was taken away from me.
et
I received so
je
many
ressens
hits,
aucun trouble.
but still I don't feel bad.
Il faut être au moins à ce niveau.
We must be at least at that
Ça,
level,
on peut arrêter.
otherwise we can stop.
S'il n'y a pas d'expérience,
If the experience is not there,
on arrêtera cette autre.
we will stop once or
Mais
we'll
l'expérience,
stop at one point.
elle
But the
peut être
experience
dans notre cœur,
can be in our heart
simplement c'est une
simply
connaissance.
if we are sincere.
Si vous approchez Krishna
If you approach Krishna
en vous disant bah, je vais faire ça, mais en cas où, car
by saying I will do this, but I will keep that for myself,
qu'il y a un problème.
calculating and unless and
Ou je vais essayer, mais
in case there's a problem, and I will try, but
vous
we'll see.
obtiendrez rien de Krishna.
You will obtain nothing from Krishna.
La nature de Krishna,
Then Krishna's nature is
comme j'ai noté, c'est qu'on doit véritablement
that we must
avoir une
truly
dévotion
have
constante
constant devotion, uninterested,
et avec des sentiments d'amour.
unconditional, with the feelings of love.
Krishna, il pourra pas
Then
arrêter.
Krishna
Il va se révéler dans votre cœur.
will reveal himself in your heart,
Parce qu'il va dire,
because he
ça,
will
c'est
say,
mon dévot.
this is my devotee.
Et là où il y a mon dévot,
And where is my devotee?
je suis là.
I
Je
am
suis
there.
présent.
I am present.
Il n'y a pas d'autre moyen.
There's no other means.
Maintenant, aujourd'hui,
Now,
vous pouvez
today,
analyser votre vie.
You can analyze your life.
Est-ce que Krishna est apparu dans mon cœur?
Did Krishna appear in my heart?
Donc maintenant, si c'est
So now,
vrai,
if it is true,
mais si c'est pas encore arrivé,
if it did not happen yet, it is that your way of approaching him is not proper.
Si vous continuez comme ça,
And if you
vous
continue
continuez
like this, you will never have the experience.
Donc il faut faire comme cette
So we
famille.
must do like this family, this
Au début,
Mormon
il était
family.
pas doux,
At the beginning, he was punching everybody in the
mais c'est
face.
vrai que les gens
And it's true
les
that
fermaient parce que
people
quand
were
et
would stop speaking because when they were KO on the ground, they could not criticize. It was a way of staying peaceful. But the Lord did not reveal himself, and they were still unhappy because they didn't have the proper attitude. But when they changed their technique, when they started to serve, then naturally they served the Lord. They were satisfied. And they realized that there's only unconditional service that can touch the heart, the living beings. We should always understand that the Lord is a sensitive being. In the same way that you can touch people's hearts, you can touch His heart, because we're made by God's image. The soul is part and parcel of the Lord, in the sense that it has all the qualities of the Lord. The fact of having feelings to love, to create, to maintain, to destroy. This is a reality. So, you can touch Krishna's heart, but if you cannot do this, then you have to change. We have to change our approach. There's something that is going wrong in your heart. So the point is, we must ask ourselves questions in devotional service. We must have introspection. We see devotees, it's been 30, 40 years they practice, they still don't ask questions. Why they don't have the experience? It's terrible. It's almost like an animal life, not to be able to ask ourselves questions. It's just like living by instinct. Even if the faith is there, it's quite low. We cannot even ask questions why there is not the experience. Why? Because we want to dominate. We want to be the first. We do not want that the Lord helps us. Krishna said, I give the intelligence to my devotee. But the devotee, what does devotee means? Someone who is dependent on Krishna. To this person, the experience comes. Because when Krishna says, I give the intelligence, it is the experience. So if we don't have the experience, it is because we do not want to let Krishna dominate our life. It is really pertinent. There's this reality deep within us. We don't want that anybody take our place. This is what we call the false ego, the false conception. And many lives would be needed to go back to Krishna. Because his world doesn't have this conception. Krishna's world is a world that is explained is so wonderful that the fact of being controlled is the best thing. Because Krishna himself desires to be controlled. But we want to be controlled by nobody. So automatically there's not the experience. When we are ready to accept everything for him, so his kingdom opens. So it's worth it. The sacrifice. It gives wonderful fruits. It is a wonderful experience to be able to taste through the chanting of the holy name this transcendental truth. But if there's no surrender, if there's no sharanagati, so there's no experience. This is why Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur composed different songs to help us. By meditating on these songs, we can obtain these qualities and apply them, put them into practice in our own lives. This is what will allow us really to have the experience. The acharyas are like father. They are concerned by the devotees. That's why they go into the material world. And when they come in the material world, they give a method that is applicable according to time, place, and circumstance. That is why there will always be acharyas who come in the material world. Because when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was present, it was a certain way. But in the West, we live in a different way. So Sharanagati is experienced. It's an inner experience that is not different, but externally that we can see. What we're able to practice in India, we must always reconsider, because there is time, place, and circumstance. So the acharyas that come, their qualification is to put into application the teachings of the acharyas that came before. And naturally, there will always be an adjustments. This is something logical, you understand? There are of course fanatics who will tell you the contrary. But the teaching that was given 10,000 years ago is not necessarily applied today. So it's always the same foundation, but the way we apply it changes. It is normal. Music won't be the same, this, that. We have to adjust everything so that people can accept, so that people can live with a spiritual, like authentic spiritual practice. And this is the duty of devotees, to evolve. For example, let us take certain movements which started in the 60s, like a Prabhupada's movement. The way he was chanting, the way they were chanting and the way they are chanting today, kirtan, the way they were cooking and the way they are cooking now evolved. Everything evolved. Everything evolves. You understand? It's normal. And it will self-evolve more and more and more and more. And sometimes the first devotee who knew this time, they find it weird because they're stuck with the experience of the past, because they liked this experience and they were able to find themselves in this experience. But today they find themselves in this experience today. So we must adjust ourselves. It is explained that a devotee is a person that is flexible. It adapts to the environment. That person does not fight against the environment because it sees the Lord in everything. This is why a devotee is always ready to evolve. But evolution does not mean we do concessions with the philosophy, with the practice, but we give it in a certain way, with intelligence, so that people can accept this. This is why we must truly receive this intelligence. And this is only possible with surrender. Those who do not want to evolve, it is because they do not receive this connection. We call that fanatics. Fanatic is someone who does not have the experience. He learned in a certain way, and although he did not experience, he did not have the full experience, in his fanaticism, he is sure it can be explained like that. And as soon as people look differently, then you understand. But if he had the experience, he will evolve. You understand? He will get out of fanaticism. He will say, I was so stupid. And now I can experience. Now I can evolve. Now I can adjust, adapt myself. This is freedom. Everywhere where you go, everywhere you can be with Krishna. When you're a fanatic, you see faults simply in others. The karmis, the crazy materialistic people, look at them, they smell so bad. They gratify their senses. Me, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's hard, but I serve the Lord at least. Understand? There are many people like this, much more than you can think. When I lived in a temple, there were classes. People, devotees would give class. Like this. I was in the kitchen and I was cooking with Brahman and he was saying, it's like this. Because there is no, the experience is not there. There is frustration. You hear about love, but there's not the experience, so there's frustration. And we have to transfer it to somebody else. This is why people do not like these kind of persons. Fanatics like fanatics. Liberated people, they like everybody. But they don't give their heart to everyone. They simply present themselves in a way that they stay in peace with them. Because if he starts explaining his experience, then the people will be envious. They will say, this person is crazy, he's a sahajiya. This is fanaticism. Because since they cannot have the experience because of their wrong behavior. So if they meet a person who has the experience, it is very difficult for them to see this. It's a reality. You see this everywhere. It is a religious principle. And fanaticism, when it is experienced in high doses, it can start war, murder, etc., etc. Because fanatical leaders, automatically, they know how to feed the anger and make believe those who don't have the experience, make them believe that they are not they are not doing anything wrong, that the wrong is outside, not in them. But someone who has the experience, he knows that the wrong is in himself. Because when he didn't have the experience, he was not properly situated. And when he situated himself properly according to the Lord, he was able to have the experience. So he can understand deep within him that he was not well situated. But the fanatic cannot do that. Never he asks himself questions. He thinks this is the fault of others. So that is why he can never have the experience. And since there are many like that, in an institution, there are naturally many fanatics. That's why there are politics, war. It is because many don't have the experience, because they want to they want to maintain being a controller. They believe in God, they chant Hare Krishna, they do classes, but their attitude is not good. They search position, worship, fame, but not love. Because when there is love, there's no fanaticism. There's compassion, tolerance, humility. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that the first level of Madhyamadikari starts with Trinada Pisunichena, Tarara Piseshnura Manina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Because when the experience is there, then we are respected. It's normal. But when the experience is not there, we are not humble. We're not tolerant. We're not respectful. We can show humility, tolerance, and respect, but to attract people towards us. But this is not the humility of the soul, the tolerance of the soul, and respect of the soul. We must really liberate ourselves, free us from this complication. It is very important. These are not ordinary words. We must pray. We must cry. Nityananda Prabhu, our spiritual lineage, Srila Prabhupada, that they may help us to liberate us. If we pray every day like this, results will come. Devotees will come to help us. The environment will become favorable, and the Lord in our heart will push us to change. He will influence us to change. And so our life will be infused with experience. Like the experience means love, not material love. A love between soul and the Lord. Once this love is placed in our heart, after you cannot fall down, it is finished. You will always be protected. Nothing will make us fall. All the attacks, all the beautiful things in this world, even the things that are the greatest wealth, the greatest beauty, because Krishna himself protects you by showing you a greater beauty, wealth, qualities, because he has everything in unlimited. He has unlimited qualities. Without this, it's not possible. When Govinda Maharaj was saying that, don't think you cannot fall down, because if Maya sends you the most beautiful woman, you will fall immediately, you will surrender immediately. Why? Haridas Thakur did not fall when Mayadevi came personally to capture him. It is because Krishna showed him a beauty that is so much deeper that she became insignificant. This is the only way to obtain victory, is that Krishna make us victorious. It is him who gives the vision. He said to Arjuna, you cannot see this form with my eyes. That's why you need divine eyes. When the Lord gives you the vision, then you become protected.